Welcome back to Gaming in the Basement. This is the conclusion of my two-part interview with Devil Billy Kazama. Let's continue.
I feel like that's the number one answer to this question. Every time I ask it, people are saying games that they're just not done anymore. They're not finished. And I was talking about the PC community just finishing games for the developers, which a user shouldn't have to do. If you're paying for a game to be done, it shouldn't be to the point where like you have people who are purchasing your game fixing it for you and coming out with patches and stuff, like doing
Oh,
essentially doing their job.
yeah. I'm going to go back to RE3 Remake for that one. There was quite a few number of people in the modding community, like Nexus. They were developing so many types of mods for that game in particular that the costumes and things that Capcom did just made it so underwhelmingly unappealing that the fans of the game honestly felt like they could do a better job than the development team could. Then they took that challenge upon themselves, which I applaud them for. Trying to develop something like that is really hard to do. Like trying to give Jill like a really cool battle suit costume, or making her look like Resident Evil 5's Jill Valentine with the SMGs and all that stuff, or any of her other costumes and appearances. Just kind of adds a little more flavor to the game, changing the model of how the Nemesis looked, because the Nemesis in 3 Remake basically is just a walking trash bag. I don't think Nemesis was actually supposed to be designed to be that way. He's not trash. He's supposed to be a prominent antagonist towards that game.
Yeah.
Changing the weapon models, making them a little bit more appealing, changing the graphics and upscaling it so that everything can be seen as crisp and clear in a 1080p setting. These are the types of things that, to go to err on the side of caution, honestly, I think these guys should have honestly be hired to actually work on those sets of games and actually deliver something to the fans, because it's by the fans, for the fans, to the fans. And some of these games on the PC side haven't really been delivering very well because they overlook such of the fact that just because it happens to be a price tag of like $60, $70 or 80 or whatever, that everybody's going to buy it. No, the customers are literally going to be looking for an experience to give them to enjoy, because that's exactly what it's supposed to be about. That's a be your mission. You want to give your fans, you want to give your customers a reason to want to come and buy your game and have a good experience. But releasing patches way later down the road after all the information was tagged out and sent to you via lots of players' feedbacks, like having sponsored people, like let's say Angry Joe from the Angry Joe Show, get an early release copy of, let's say, Final Fantasy Fifth, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, the remaster or the port over, if you will. And he just can't run in circles, he can't attack, he can't do this, he can't do that, and it's just a day one release where everybody is watching him play because he got an early release copy. And for all intents and purposes, for everybody else, they're expecting to go through the same thing, and Angry Joe would just, I don't know, get angrier or something and just say, this game is completely unplayable, do not buy it. Same thing with all these other YouTubers that would say these exact kind of things because they would experience the same thing. The developers should be held to a higher standard. They should be held more accountable for delivering such a promise and then under delivering that said promise.
Part of me thinks it's not really the developers. It sounds like the developers want to finish. Like I do watch like a few documentaries on like just making of video games, and it always seems like the publishing company or like PlayStation or whatever, they want the game sooner. So the developers have to cut stuff out and they have to rush, and there's tons of bugs because they're getting this pressure. But they're getting the paycheck from them, so they can't say no. So like, how do you think they could solve that?
Honestly, I think it has a lot more to do with just simply develop. I mean, I kept saying developers, but I also meant to say, besides publishers, I also want to say on the side of investors.
Oh
Because
yeah.
when it comes down to building a video game, it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of legwork. There's a lot of things that you have to do. You have to hire as much talent, especially in the publisher side of things, like a company like, say, Capcom for this matter. If they were to develop, which they currently are, the whole Resident Evil 4 remake, and they're just constantly being whipping the backs of the developers to go ahead and change a few things around, even though the trailer was 100% released and this is exactly what you're supposed to get. The mechanic changes on the following trailer. Like, what exactly happened? Why did you guys change the dodge mechanic or a block mechanic that was originally introduced in that trailer? I think for the most part it has to be a time factor. Like, yes, we want to get these things into the player's hands so that they can actually play. But most of the developers were originally fans themselves of the game before they started working on it. For the publishers, they are literally taking so much flack from the investors that were putting money into the game. You know, the budget is obviously one of the biggest factors in a project of any magnitude, but that doesn't give them, it doesn't excuse them from the fact that on all accounts, especially on a PR side, like public relations, marketing, that you want to do such a half-assed job that, you know, you may not even possibly be working on something like this in the near future. And I actually do have my fair share of concerns with most of the mainstream franchise titles like Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, even Tekken for that matter, because all around it becomes a losing battle. And I wished most of them would reflect on what they did wrong in the past and try to correct it, and then look at what they did great and then try and reflect that into the following sets of projects that they do decide to do. Not everything has to be about money, but it is true that money does make the world go round
Yeah.
on all aspects.
Yeah, I mean, I think the money is the biggest problem, and it just feels greedy that they're just rushing a date on something that shouldn't be released maybe for like 2 more years, but they need it, they want it for Christmas, or they want it at the beginning of the year or whatever.
hmm There's not a lot of heart and soul going into the game altogether. It's just going to be a shadow of its former self when it's on release day. And then that right there ties back to the whole thought of the whole current gaming thing. I think most of it just feels pretty soulless and there's not much heart in it. So a lot of people would probably go back to retro gaming for that because they miss the nostalgia.
Yeah. I mean, I think they were pressured back then a lot too. So what do you think the difference between then and now? Like, how are they able to develop more fully polished games back in the day opposed to now?
Well, if we wanted to look at, or for example, for some of these things back then, like Resident Evil 3 had a very, very limited budget and they were basically packing on quite a bit without having to deal with so many nuances of like pronouns and social terminology and things that this is exactly what we need to do. This is what we have to avoid. Small little philosophies here and there made the games a lot more greater, even if it was under such a limited budget. But you also want to talk about the resources that we have nowadays where everything is 100% more accessible, everything is more flashed out. Even by some of the games from the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 era, we're still dealing with a lot of polygons before they started like smoothing out the character models and things of that nature, making environments pretty fleshed out. Even before remakes and remasters started becoming a thing a couple years ago or so, they basically had a drive. And I believe that drive is what made so many communities want to come together in the first place because they all had literally one goal. They wanted people to have fun. And yeah, money definitely is one of the things that would either make or break the project, but it's not always about the money. It's gonna be that heart and soul that I talked about. You want to give your fans something to look forward to, and you hope they'll come back for the following project that you might be working on. Back then, I'd say there wasn't as many high expectations as opposed to now. It's more like, what did I do back then that made such a title so great? What can I use to aesthetically please the gamers? What can I do that expands on it, especially if it might be a remake? Some of those key elements, I'd say, ties into a lot of things about people having to learn from their mistakes, keeping your head held up high when you're doing such a thing.
Yeah.
Because some of these guys have lost their integrity as well, which is pretty sad.
So I'm gonna turn this into a conversation pointed towards Tekken a little bit more.
Sure.
So, watching your Tekken footage of your like 1st to 7 match, you really have a knack for commentating. Do you have any tips? I don't know why I can't say this. Tricks or tips? There we go. Do you have any tricks and tips for people who want to do commentary but don't know where to start?
To go back on the whole commentating thing, yes, there was a little bit of tongue tied. That's okay. It can happen.
I know there was a lot going on. I could
Um,
not make it. Ugh, okay.
It's okay. It happens to everybody every now and then. It's okay.
Yeah.
So on the side of commentating, I would say if you have played the game for a very long time, you're able to see these kinds of moves, the frames, the mechanics all together. I would say the more knowledge that you have on it, the better you're able to explain it to somebody that probably doesn't even like Tekken, hasn't watched it, never experienced it, probably could be their first one. Or if you just want to deliver some hype and just get them all excited and dude, it'd be no different than if you were to look at, say, a WWE match where you got 2 wrestlers, 4 wrestlers, or whatever in this particular type of faction. You want to give them the general rundown of what exactly is happening. Like, oh man, this bear right over here just like shoulder tackled somebody and they're sent flying. That's pretty crazy. Or
Right.
having a character like Lily, for example, she just like jumps up in the air. She does that little front flip thing. That move happens to be 3+4, X plus circle if you're on PlayStation. Small little things like adding detail to what you are observing lets the viewers know that, oh, this guy definitely knows what he's talking about. This girl happens to know what she's talking about. Or just anybody in general. Like, the more that you happen to play these kinds of games, the more well versed you are in Tekken, the easier it is you can kind of relay said information, especially with how Tekken 7's pretty trashy online servers are. There's quite a bit of delay, there's communication errors and things of that nature. People do get lagged out, and it just kind of ruins the entire thing. But if you're able to, as a commentator, just basically say what you are seeing in front of you, if you are able to add a little bit of flavor to it, put a little bit of energy, especially if you're starting out, I would suggest take your time with it. Get a little bit of feedback from people. Be natural, don't be fake. If you are still having like issues talking, like you are stuttering a little bit, and it can happen to me too. Like, I've had my fair share of stumbling, character moves, the extreme play-by-play. It's best to just talk as much as you can with your friends and when you are by yourself. Although the people aren't like watching you in person actually do the commentary, unless you have a video camera set up, there's that hint of nervousness that you can hit. You can always practice in front of a mirror, and you can just start exercising your vocal cords. You can start coming up with some speeches, and you can just go with the flow. When people are starting out doing commentary, they tend to get stage fright, like because they're put on the spot.
Mhm.
Don't worry about that kind of stuff. Take a little bit of feedback, chill out with some of your viewers. Imagine that you're actually sitting in the viewer seat with everybody, but you got your microphone. You're like buddies with everybody. You're having like a little bag of popcorn, and you're still telling everybody what they're seeing, even though they're already seeing what you're seeing. You want to add a little flavor. You want to give them a narrative, a little story. Just do your best. Don't come in with so many expectations that you have to be the best commentator, or just because one person happens to do it perfectly that you have to do it the same way. Everybody has their own style. Just take your time with it, understand the game if you're able to, and just be natural. Just be natural. Go with the flow. Don't have so many expectations.
That's some really great advice. And stumbling over your words, I don't know what that is. I mean, obvious. Who do you main and why?
Mm, Since Tekken 2, I've been a very big fan of Lei Long. He is my first character, and I main regular Jin Kazama. I'm a dual main, and I've had to explain that to quite a few number of people because they don't 100% believe me. I've had to even show them like a screenshot of, because some people care about ranked a lot more than wins and experiences and what you do inside of player lobbies, rank matches, and quick matches,
Yeah.
even the tournaments. So I have to literally restate my case every single time that somebody says, "No, I don't believe you. You seem more like a lay main than you are a Jin. No, you seem more like a Jin than you are a lay." But the thing is, I try to play them equally because I put a lot of heart and soul into them. And it is with that kind of regret that a couple days ago I actually declared that I was dropping Tekken.
So where is this decision coming from?
It just literally started boiling down to some factors of I don't think I'm going to be getting much mileage from just playing Tekken 7 as much anymore. Lots of things are going on in my life, especially with other jobs. So I don't think I can actually put as much focus on Tekken 7 altogether, or just Tekken in general, at least until maybe Tekken 8, because some people were asking me on some social websites like Facebook, Discord, things of that nature. They're like, "Why are you dropping Tekken?" No, don't do that. We'll miss you. I go, yeah, but this is just a personal choice for me. I want to be able to go ahead and rest. I want to be able to do stuff. It's a lot more different than just simply saying, oh, I got to take a break for like 2 to 3 weeks. Some people were getting so super. I had my fair share of burning out many, many times, even in the course of wanting to host the first to seven anyway, making sure everybody was able to play and then just doing some homie matches in the PSN party chat and just set up lobbies. There are times when I would get slighted because of the variables that happen in the online setting. Like I know I did this move, I know I placed this input down. My character isn't capable of doing this, but I'm going to make the best out of it anyway, but still get the short end of the stick. There were all these little small negative factors that just slowly started eating away at me. That I
Yeah.
honestly felt like with the way that the online community is, you got your toxic players, you got your pluggers, your key chargers, the people that kick you and all that. I rolled with the punches for a very long time, and I just decided personally that it's enough. I'm done. Put this down, and I just want to focus on other stuff. And who knows if I'll ever go back to Tekken, or rather drop it completely to going into Tekken 8. Because what I did was after I declared that to myself, and I had to say that to a couple friends of mine, I literally put Tekken 7 right back in the closet, out of sight, out of mind, so I can focus on other things.
I mean, I applaud you for doing that. I know it's a hard decision, and I've had other friends do that. And like, I feel like it's not a game that you can play all the time. Like, I get burnt out on it too.
And it's very much like a journey in itself. But since I've played Tekken starting from 2 all the way up till now, I feel like I basically gave it my all, and some of it just it doesn't actually feel like it's enough. It's like
Yeah.
there's so many people that you can be friends with that happen to be like Tekken gods, Tekken god omegas, blah blah blah, or they could be even close to your rank if they put the badge pressure on you.
Yeah.
That you have an expectation that you're trying to meet, and it shouldn't even be that way. There are
Yeah.
people that shouldn't even have the ranks that they have because apparently that's how they got them, the cheese or whatever. And then you have hardworking people that still get shafted every single time. Like I used to be a Ryujin lane. Now I'm back to the friendliest Yakuza rank, which is a indoor joke with inside joke with most of my friends. But even after that, I still have my fair share amount of support from everybody that, hey, it's sad that you had to drop it, you have all these other things. I'm sure you have your reasons, but I definitely hope that you will return for Tekken 8 and we can just play like normal, like nothing ever happened. It's like one of
Yeah.
those friendships that doesn't really die or decay over time, that
Yeah.
you can just hold on and treasure. Because I made a lot of good memories outside of the whole Tekken 7 thing of just going into ranked. I fought quite a few number of people that I haven't even fought since like the Tekken 6 and Tekken 5 era, and some that recognized me out of the blue because of the Tekken Zaibatsu website. That I mean, there was a lot of history, and it is a shame to just kind of set that up or just dump it to the side. But yeah, I mean, when it really boils down to personal choice, you got to do what's best for you. You got to take care of your health. Yelling at
Yeah.
the game, destroying your equipment, telling you that you hate yourself, and all these other emotions, it just kind of packs on and just, like I said, it eats away with you. Like it eats away at everything that you were basically trying to do in the first place, which was have fun. And unfortunately, I took to my own thing, so I had to clear my own air.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know it's hard, but I think you made the right choice 100%. You should always choose yourself first.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. It's like I said, that kind of thing is really hard to actually do, but you have to do what's best for you. Just end of story for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. If it just puts you in a bad place, you don't want to be there. You shouldn't be there, for sure. No game should do that. Like Tekken is an interesting game. I've never had a game like make me feel the way it does.
It definitely like for some people that are just starting out, they want to select a character that's pretty cool or has a really nice design, has a very nice story, something that they can connect with, and then over time they build up so much confidence that they actually do become like a different person, like a better person. And those are the types of factors actually does make the game a little bit more enjoyable. You have all these people coming from different types of backgrounds. Some of them are artists. They don't really play the game that much. They do play the game. They come up with really interesting fan art that you could see all over Twitter
Yeah.
and other parts of the interwebs. And it just lets them know that they actually do have a place. Like it can be a very warm, welcoming type of community, and it can also be a toxic type of community. So it's like a double-edged sword. So you have to be vigilant in how you do things. So, I mean, if it ever really boiled down to that, and you already have some friends in, those particular types of scenarios, you can always ask them more than some random person that you just.
No, that's true.
You can slowly start building up on your resources. It's just you got to take the time and you got to dedicate a little bit of that persistence. You got to
Yeah.
keep it, and then eventually everything slowly starts clicking together. Like, let's just be honest. When it comes down to playing Tekken or any fighting game in general, you're putting yourself a small expectation of performing 200% as opposed to performing at simply 100. Like you're supposed to go super out of your way just to do that, and it's just not physically possible. The universe doesn't really bend to that kind of a thing, even if you try to will it. You're not going to be able to win every single fight or challenge or anything of the sort that you deem fit just because you want that to actually happen. So when it comes down to all those salty messages and things of that nature that even I have had myself undergo, the expectation is something that you should definitely throw away. You won't be expected to win every match, and every single time you win a fight, it lets you know, oh, hey, I think I've come a long way. As opposed to losing, this is where I'm at right now. This is what I have to do and learn and make some changes and adjust so that it doesn't happen to me again. So having like a very neutral viewpoint of how you're playing the game is definitely gonna make or break what you do. This also applies to like any other game that happens to be competitive for that matter. If
Yeah,
you're
I
always
mean,
so focused on trying to outperform, you're going to end up burnt out. You're going to be on that self-loathing phase. Everything's just going to literally start coming up south. And like myself, as much as anybody else, it's one of those repeat offender lessons that has to constantly be learned every single time. Nobody's perfect. I don't care if you are a Korean, you are a Pakistani player, you're a Japanese player, you're not going to win every single time. It's a game first and a competition second.
I don't think you can win without losing. You learn from losing. You learn
Mm-hmm.
from your mistakes, and that's how you get better. If you're not expecting to lose, you can't expect to get better. You got to
Yeah.
be okay with it.
Mm-hmm. There is such a thing known as a skill gap, but honestly, that kind of thing shouldn't even 100% bother you. It's just if you're starting off as opposed to someone who is experienced with the game, the only thing that you can do is you win or you move on, you
Yeah.
learn.
A lot of people do stress rank, and I don't feel like rank is an accurate way to tell your skill level, like you were saying earlier.
For some, it's like a personal badge of honor, even though it doesn't really do a whole lot. For me, if I ever had to try and place it on something, because I used to care about ranked a whole lot. Like after I reached Ryujin, I just wanted to get to Emperor just so I can stand with the rest of my friends that yep, I made it. So now, I mean, if you made it, I made it. Anybody else can make it out of our clique, our gang, our group of friends. If they want help and they want to try to reach that, we can try to help them. But ultimately, it is up to them to
Yeah.
do it. For me, after I was bumped down from Ryujin to Yakuza, I just decided right then and there it don't matter no more. Like I've
Yeah.
already demonstrated just about as enough skill, and I had a lot of people basically vouch for me on said skill level. Doesn't matter what rank they are now. I'm still essentially going to be standing side by side in the swing of things when it comes down to the fighting game.
So, do you have some memories that stand out to you from playing Tekken?
With Tekken 7 having quite a lot of slow-mos, there was a lot of TF moments, which tends to be like one of my biggest sets of memories and moments. But I guess if I had to pick some moments, there were some times when I would just get a double KO.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
those are fun.
it just sets up the bar for, oh hey, can we do it again? Is it possible to do that again? Then
Mm-hmm.
there's the trade where both players attack at the same time and they're both like attacked in the same frame and they try to do it again and then you just get traded again. Like going back to neutral, like I punch you, you punch me, we're back to standing, and then we do the same thing again. Like, huh, so I guess that's what we're gonna do
Yeah.
now. It's a punch out.
Yeah. That's fun. Has Tekken given you opportunities to meet new people? And if so, who are they?
Absolutely. It's given me quite a lot of it's opened up a lot of doors for me as far as like being able to interact even outside of Tekken. Like some of the people I do have to give credit where credit is due is Universal Karma too. He is actually one of the Brian players that I'm actually in a group with. He has actually watched some of my streams, even if they haven't been like Tekken streams. He's seen some of the video clips that I posted on the Facebook groups like Lee's excellent posting and the Tekken 7 player community thing. He has been one of the few people that I actually do have quite a good friendship with, even outside of Tekken. Like I met this one player that is a Eddie player, and he does music, and he's the one that I was talking about before regarding the 20-second voice clip being put on one of his songs. He actually has a SoundCloud, and he has a couple of albums that are posted all across the said platform, and he wants me to collaborate with him again. There is some buddies that I share interests with, like if I were to go through my friends list right now, Reap Time 90, one of my old friends that I just played a lot of games with back in the day, like Tekken 6 wise, Nero Hans. I've met with some people that happen to be Leo players and Lay players that through shared interests we've had a little bit of camaraderie going on. And, as long as I'm able to like connect with some of these guys and I'm able to have such really fun moments with, actually makes the game even more enjoyable than just simply playing Tekken.
Yeah, I mean, I find I have a lot more fun when I play with like people I know and people I feel safe with than, just friends. It's a lot more enjoyable.
And as far as I know, I definitely do have to give a lot of credit where credit's due because I have also, out of moments in Tekken, I've participated in a couple of tournaments. I've won a few prizes, nothing like high skill tournaments like Evo or whatever, but I've won like a little T-shirt of Eliza and Lily on it back when Tag 2 was still roaming about and early Tekken 7 was there. I've met with Markman, I've met with Rip, I've met with Eris from Avoiding the Puddle. He streams on Twitch as well. I've met with Harada on a few occasions. I've also met up with Michael Murray. I've had some stuff signed with them, like a Tekken 6 arcade stick, a couple of photos. I even was in a costume at one point for the Tekken 7 Vanilla Bootcamp. I was wearing the Tekken 6 Clamp Jin outfit. I didn't have my shoulder pad with all the chains and pauldrons and all that other stuff and the knee pads, but I basically just showed up, took photos, had fun. I even on the Tekken 7 Vanilla thing, I entered a tournament and I met this very well-known competitive player known as Sling. He recognized my costume right off the bat and he said, "Oh, you're definitely a Jin main. That's definitely pretty cool. I approve." And I met another player, Afro Cole. I fought him in the tournament. I had some small pictures taken of myself while I was on the stage. Even one Twitch chat with Wizard World Gaming was complimenting on things that I was doing. Like this guy is definitely no average Tekken player. He's definitely trying to do stuff. And because I had a baseball cap of a Sony PlayStation logo, I had my glasses on, I was shaved, I had like one of the Jin tattoo dog tags on. Some of the guys were on the Twitch chat were jokingly saying that I look like Mark Man's illegitimate son, and that actually put a smile on my face because I'm like, we kind of do look alike, huh?
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, there was lots of things that even outside of like an online environment, but it still had some tech in that I was able to reach out to these guys and actually build a small little camaraderie with that. Even after Tekken's all said and done, you know, it's just a game. The friendship that we have will basically stay on. That's basically something I'd have to say that is one of the biggest benefits of what Tekken has offered me and what I was putting back in. Just the time.
That's great that you have so many wonderful memories. Like even if you're retiring right now and today, you have all these great memories to think back on. And I mean, it sounds like you've been on like a wonderful journey, and like I'm glad you got to go through that, and that you have these wonderful memories to think nicely of Tekken. It wasn't all bad.
Yeah. I mean, for what Paul would usually say in some of his intros is no pain, no gain, but mine is definitely going to be nothing ventured, nothing gained. You
Yeah.
won't know unless you actually step into that world where all the variables are just unknown. It could be very intimidating, but sometimes you just have to go ahead and just walk out there. Just take your baby steps like a baby would, trying to learn how to walk on its own 2 feet rather than crawl on all fours.
Yeah.
Every bit of experience that you take can either make or break you, but at the same time, all the positives that can come out of it's basically a lot more than what you possibly could have gotten if you were in like middle school or high school because you're only there just to try to learn and try to fit in with the crowd. But at least with this one, you didn't really have to. You're
Yeah.
already working with a bunch of other people to begin with. You're meeting and you're hanging out and you're just building. It's basically like your own little family. And
Yeah.
that's what some of these guys have actually become to me. Like I met through some of them with very, very low points in their life, and I was just basically, excuse me, hanging out with them, trying to cheer them up. And I've actually met some of my 808 boys in Hawaii. They actually were trying to reach out to me and have me join them for like a couple tournaments over there in Hawaii, like Maui, for example, and Oahu, so that they know that I'm still part of the pack. I'm still part of their gang, and we're all friends. All this kind of stuff is what really matters down the road. Because I mean, when you really boil down and think about it, everything that you do, every action that you place out, has some type of reward in it. It also happens to have a consequence, but you want to keep in mind what those sets of actions that you want to do. You want to be able to play with these people, try to get as much time with them as you can because usually what some people would say is time is a very fickle one and tomorrow's never really promised, so you got to make best of what you do today so that you have something tomorrow you know
Yeah. All right. Well, from playing Tekken, you seem like you're a very analytical person. Here's your surprise question. You have to pull off a
Sure.
museum heist. What's your plan?
A museum heist. Okay, I played a little bit of Payday too, so I can kind of figure some of that out.
All right, let's
All
hear
right,
it.
so first and foremost, if I were to go ahead and do that one without even incriminating myself, I'm just going to use my experience with Payday 2 here. I would
Okay.
have to keep out the entire place first.
Okay.
Once I know exactly what's going on, what type of blueprints there are, what my exits are, what my entrances are, how many people are on the staff, how many aren't, how many systems there are, how many, figure out all the variables and things. Then I would slowly start casing out everything. I would go through a planning stage first, and then I would make sure I have the appropriate team to work with. Because, if you're trying to plan a heist and whatnot, you might end up with more than you potentially bargained for.
Would you be able to tell us your socials so we could find you?
Yeah, for the most part, I am on twitch.tv. The Twitch channel is twitch.tv/DevilBillyKazama. And if you follow that page, you can definitely find my YouTube channel. It should be like a direct link in my profile. I do happen to have a Discord, but I haven't actually had much time to actually mess around with it because of all the work I've been doing lately. But I do have plans of including that one into the Twitch channel. I think what people do is they have like this web link for Linktree or something. I've seen it a lot lately.
Yeah.
I figured I go ahead and tack that onto my Twitch channel, and you will actually have everything that you want there. Same thing for the YouTube channel. I have to do some editing on that part to where it'll show up the link tree so you can follow all of my socials. I do have like a small little Facebook fan page, but I haven't paid attention to that for like years. I definitely have to fix that one. There's a lot of that under construction term.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you're basically on Twitch and you just want to find something to just chillax with, I may not be playing Tekken anymore, but I do have a small surprise that's supposed to involve Tekken later down the road.
Was there anything you wanted to say or add on?
Let's see, those that I have mentioned, those that I haven't yet, honorable mentions. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being with me throughout my entire journey of being online and playing these games with you, hanging out. And I hope these types of times definitely don't end. I definitely don't want anybody to 100% think that it's because I'm no longer playing Tekken, I'm 100% obscure. I'm still going to be around. Just reach out to me whenever you want. If you have me on Discord, you can always send me a private message. I will also add my Discord ID to the Twitch channel so that if you want to reach out to me, you can do so. Or if I'm streaming, my Twitch bot will also say, hey, I've got a Discord. Come follow me. I'm definitely down to participate and help support. For everybody else that is looking to do the whole podcasting thing, you can definitely reach me through one of the socials, like the whole Twitch thing, and then we can just kind of get the ball rolling. If you want to collab with me at some point, like I'm looking into doing the whole voice acting bit, podcasting, the radio talk show host. A lot of people have said before that I do have quite the voice for it, so I think maybe now would actually be a good time to do so. And maybe
No, I
later down the
agree.
road, you might see me in a video game, and I hope you will actually come to buy the game and support your boy.
Yeah, if you're ever in a video game, let me know.
Thank you so much for having me. Everybody else, you guys happen to have a very wonderful 2023. We just getting started, y'all. Take care and be safe.
I really learned a lot from Devil Billy Kazama. It was really a pleasure to get to sit down and talk to him. Please show him some support by following him on Twitch. My music today was brought to you by DJ Kern. Thank you guys again for all of the support. It's really been very overwhelming. It's been great getting to know all these streamers and getting to talk to them and getting to know their stories. I just wouldn't be doing this without you, so thank you so much, and until next time, keep gaming.
I originally had a YouTube channel with the same PlayStation ID, but unfortunately, the way that Google has changed things around, I cannot recover that account anymore. So I ended up having to make a new Google account and just place Reborn right next to it, and then just go through YouTube and just look at all these really cool videos and things that were pretty good and viewable even to this day. But I still wanted to keep gaming a huge part of those channels. Like for Twitch, I'm going to be live. I want you to have fun. And anything that I'm able to put up, I'll definitely archive into my second YouTube channel so that I have memories to look back and say, yep, I did this. I am partially immortalized. I can look forward to the next thing.